Okay, YouTube, Paul Bates here with Bates Outdoor Adventures, and today I want to talk about fuel mileage in our Class C motorhome. So we have a 2018 Forest River Forester, and it's about 30 feet long, and I want to talk about fuel mileage. So later on in the video here, I'll tell you the 4 most important things you can do for fuel mileage and how to prepare for that. But right now, I want to tell you about the fuel mileage that I get in mine. And doesn't matter if you're renting them or in the market to buy them. So mine gets about 7 miles to the gallon, 7.2 pulling my trailer. I have a 16-foot, 102 wide trailer that I pull, and I have the X3 in that, and it's usually loaded with a bunch of gear and stuff like that. And then I'm usually full of water, and I get about 7.2 miles to the gallon. That's in the western half of the United States. Now, empty, I get 7.6 miles to the gallon. And again, that's in the western half of the United States going at... So the reason I keep saying western half of the United States is because we're up in the Rockies here, and the fuel mileage is going to be less. It just is. If you're up on the flats past the Rockies there, you're going to get better fuel mileage. You're going to get a mile or two better to the gallon. So now I want to talk about the 4 things you can do for fuel mileage, the 4 best things you can do for fuel mileage. So number 1 is a clean air filter. Make sure that engine's breathing properly. You go with a cold intake. You can even probably increase your fuel mileage a little bit. I haven't done that on this coach, but I may someday. We'll see. And then the next thing is wind. If you're traveling on a windy day, I mean, you're going to get worse fuel mileage. It's just, there's no way around it. If you're taking on a headwind, you're just not going to get as good a fuel mileage. Now, I've noticed that in this particular coach, it affects it, but it doesn't affect it a whole lot. You know, we're talking tenths of a mile to the gallon. So then the number 2 thing, and this is a big thing, I preach it in all my videos, is tire pressure. Tire pressure, tire pressure. If your vehicle calls out this Class C motorhome here, and most of them do, the big ones, it's 80 pounds of pressure. If you have lower than that, if you have 50 pounds of pressure, yeah, your ride might be smoother, but you're putting more resistance on the ground, and it's going to affect your fuel mileage. And tires can be big. I've seen these things on different tire applications that'll affect 2 miles to the gallon on your tires. So it's huge. Tire pressure is huge. Probably one of the single biggest things, but the number 1 thing that'll kill your fuel mileage is speed by far. So when I owned my trucking company in 2002 to 2006, 8, somewhere around there, there was a study put out, and after 60 miles an hour, your vehicle starts to lose its efficiency in the wind, and you decrease your fuel mileage after 60 miles an hour. So if you can keep it between 55 and 60, obviously your fuel mileage is going to be more. I don't do that. I travel a little bit faster, so I pay the price, and obviously I'm going to spend a little more money on fuel. And you can probably get about another mile or 2 gallons or 2 to the gallon with decreasing your speed. So while we're at it here, we'll talk about a couple of the other vehicles that I've owned. And one of them was a Marathon Prevost bus. It got 5.5 miles a gallon. Didn't really matter what I did with it. 5.5. You run in the generator, it has a big 20 kilowatt generator on it. It's going to burn a little more fuel. It'll probably take it down to 5. My last vehicle that I had was a 1-ton Dodge dually 4-wheel drive, and that thing got about 15 miles to the gallon on the regular roads, 15, 16, and then when I was pulling, it probably got somewhere around between 8 and 9, and that was pretty realistic, and that's a 45-foot toy hauler that we were towing. And then it didn't really affect our, when I had a Class A motorhome running the Ford V10, seemed the same. I got about 6.5 to 7.5 miles to the gallon. That was about it. That's all that Ford chassis will do on the western half of the United States. Up in the flats, it'll do a little bit better. You can get as high as probably, if you're watching your speed and everything, you can do about 10, maybe even 11 miles to the gallon on one of those Ford V10s. But that is it. That you're not going to get any better than that, and it has to be in perfect conditions. So I've been wanting to do this fuel mileage video for a while, talking about it, and I had to get a few miles behind me on the Class C here. But YouTube, peace out. I appreciate it. You have any questions, just leave comments. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. I'm sure there's going to be people that argue and say, hey, I get better fuel mileage than that. But yeah, you can. Like I said, if you want to do 55 miles an hour, you drive on optimal, perfect conditions, you drive with all your tanks empty, yeah, you could possibly get 11 and a half, but on the flat grounds, you're not going to get them here in the western half of the United States. It's impossible. We're up and down grades all the time. Anyway, peace out. Paul Bates, Beverly, Daisy, you guys have a great week. Be safe out there and enjoy your RVs and enjoy the cheap fuel prices right now. Hope to have a busy summer this year. We rent our coach out, so it should rent a little bit this year because of the cheap fuel prices. But enjoy it, and that's all you're going to get out of them. Thanks. Bye.